One of the things at our current church is they have these huge parameters, and I have this friend of mine who is so frustrated by the parameters, and she's just like, this is so hard. I just want to add this new song in. I just want to do this thing, but I can't because there's these parameters about how we add songs and when we add songs and which songs we add. But I find that these limits are actually the very thing that boost the most creativity. It sounds counterintuitive, I know, but it's still real. What is up, Yoshis? My name is Beth, and I run Steadfast Ascent, and limits are the ultimate hack to boosting your creativity. Which sounds counterintuitive because creativity are supposed to be free and wild and do whatever you want, right? There's no limits, master builder, to your creativity, right? But actually, if necessity is the mother of invention, and necessity means that you're lacking something, then actually, limits or lack is the mother of creativity. Now, I realize this is just over-applying some random English idiom, but at the same time, think about it. If you have a blank page set before you, you have no limits. You can do anything you want to it. You can draw on it, you can write on it, you can crinkle it into origami, you can do whatever you want with this piece of paper. But say your English teacher gives you a limit and says, hey, I want you to write an essay. Well, okay, you now have this box within which you need to express whatever it is you have inside of your heart. This is often how I approach my songwriting, because when I am writing songs, I don't have a producer, I don't have a band, it's just me and my stuff. And I can do whatever I want. But I play all sorts of little games where I create arbitrary boxes that I use to help me start getting going. I start building out the foundation of my song based on another song, and then as I am building it, I find I have all sorts of my own ideas. And then by doing so, I've started with the box of what someone else has already done, but I find myself leaking out whenever I have good ideas. Adding new songs into our worship rotation we've got some pretty strong boundaries in our church. When my friend wants to introduce a new song, we have that box. It's we can't just introduce new songs whenever we feel like it. There's a system and there's a process, and we have to vet the songs, and we can't just throw them in. But what we can do is make mashups. And so let me tell you, man, we've had some pretty creative mashups because we have this limit of how we can or can't add new songs. And I will say that a lot of the mashup insertions have become added to the rotation because the creative way in which we applied the mashup meant that there was context for the congregation to add the song in, and so in this fashion, we have added a lot of songs. But furthermore, I think this actually works because you're tricking your brain into playing a game. Now, I mentioned that when I'm songwriting, I intentionally play games, but think about it. If I tell you you can do whatever you want, your brain goes blank. If I tell you that you have to write a rock song, but you can't use a guitar, well, what just happened? First of all, in your brain, all you saw or heard was guitar sounds, right? But then you also probably made all of these different connections, which is the basis of creativity, to things that are like guitars, or way that you could simulate guitars. And you also probably heard a bunch of different rock songs. And already, you're just thinking, and it's going, and all it is because I placed this one limit where it's hey, no guitars, but let's write a rock song, right? And so, when it comes to boosting creativity, just playing a game where it's well, could I do this? It's asking a question, it's challenging yourself, it's utilizing curiosity, what if could I even, asking questions to boost yourself into a creative space. And I might have to go write a rock song without a guitar now. You know your strengths, you know the games you like to play, so why don't you set up a game that you can play to boost your creativity? I would just love to know about this, so please share it. If you feel stuck, start asking some questions, set an arbitrary limit, and see if you can start triggering yourself to make new connections in ways that you maybe hadn't been thinking about before. And if you're struggling to do it for yourself, call up a friend, my dudes. Call up a friend, or let us help you out. So what are you gonna do this week to be more creative? What is one project that you're working on? Let's participate. Let's set some arbitrary limits and see what happens. Thank you guys so very much for watching.